Hey Chuck,
Hey, Faisal,
guess what money and women have in common?
what's that?
They are exactly the same energy.
Yeah.
Do you ever wonder, why do I always seem to give so much more than I get? All I want is to be appreciated and loved. Is that asking too much? Why do all the jerks get the hot girls while I get stuck in the friend zone? When will it ever be my turn? If this sounds like you, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Nice Guy Show. This is the podcast that asks the question, how do I break free from the nice guy syndrome so I never have to come in last again? Now here are your hosts, Faisal Coker and Chuck Chapman.
Hey, everybody, thanks for joining us today on the Nice Guys Show. My name is Chuck Chapman. I'm here with my co host, Faisal Coker. And today we're going to talk about money and sex. The two things that I think every guy probably wants the most, money and sex. And we're going to talk about how money and sex are actually feminine energy. So, Faisal, how did you come up with this idea for the topic of this show today?
Well, when Dr. Glover was around in London, we started to talk about money. And he said one of the things that a lot of nice guys struggle with is money,
Yeah.
right? And when they do have money, they're kind of like in the middle. They don't really have abundance of it. So I asked him, I said, look, why? What is it? And when we started to talk more on this, he had an aha moment. He said something that was really interesting. He said, money is feminine energy. And I was like, what do you mean by this? So he went on to expand on this. And this is what I want to cover. I want to cover some of the aspects of what money is. Now, Chuck, what's the lesson you got about money and sex when you were a child?
Well, when I was growing up, I think, when it comes to sex, I was taught that you only did it in a certain way. So during marriage, right? So sex outside of marriage is a sin. Um, Sex with yourself is a sin. Any kind of sex, format of sex outside of marriage, that marriage container is a sin. So it's very limited in, um, what where you could ascertain sex. And money was a similar thing. I grew up in wasn't poverty, but we were in middle lower to middle class America, um, and so all my needs and everything were met. But my parents always struggled with money. They always struggled with paying for things. There never seemed like there was enough money going around, um, and so those two aspects. When I think about those two aspects, they're similar kind of things in that there's this limited amount and um, and you can't really get much more than what you have.
Yeah, yeah. I can so resonate with that. I mean, the message I got, especially coming back from my background culture, was sex is taboo. We don't. I didn't talk about sex with anybody. When I was young, I didn't have like uncles or aunts, or
Mm.
parents, but I didn't talk about sex, about that, and he didn't have the talk with me. So that was a real taboo. And when it came to finances, in my culture, it's really pushed. You got to make money, you got to be something, but that's about it. And it was a lot of you know showing off. Oh, look, my son's this, and his doctor is an accolade, and there was a lot of that kind of comparing yourself to the Joneses, and but that was it. There was no like pathways or guidance, and we grew up poor. So I came from a very poor household, and so money was a issue. Like you said, wasn't abundant. But I want to share one thing, right? So
Yeah.
I I've got some pretty cool people in my network, and I wrote a post, and I wrote on my Facebook. I said, what is money attracted to? And I've got a few, Facebook, a lot of
Hmm.
life coaches on my Facebook, and they all came back with a lot of woo-woo, uh, you know, stuff like law of attraction and this and that and that. Only one person, right? One person wrote the best answer, and he's a multimillionaire. He's
No.
made
Uh-huh.
businesses several times over, and he just wrote one word, and I thought, that's it. Guess what that word was?
I have no idea.
Right? He said, money is attracted to value.
Value. I'm writing that down.
Right? I thought about it. I said,
Well, isn't that what the feminine's also attracted to? A high value man, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hypergamy makes her wanna get the
Hmm.
best man. She doesn't want
Sure.
the loser, so it's attracted to value.
Hmm.
Or, and some guys might think, well, I'm not quite there, but perceived value or possibility of being valuable in the future as well.
Right, right. You invest in that similar kind of thing. Like if you, I don't know, so you buy a piece of art or something like that, that, was by a new artist, but you buy it because the potential of that artist is, one day this painting's going to be worth millions of dollars, something along those lines.
That's
So
it.
the value of that piece of art may not be here today, but you can, see based on, other histories and things like that, that piece of art's probably going to be worth something. So similarly with a man, in a high value man, he's going to be worth something. The potential of his earnings increases. So the feminine is going to be attracted to that as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
Yeah.
no, there was let me tell you the story, right? There's a guy, he knocks on the door, his friend's house, and he says, look, listen, I've got no money. Can I stay for some time on your sofa? Right? Would you invest in that guy? What most people say, well, this guy's got no job. He's got no, well, he needs a place to stay. What most people do?
I'd probably let him stay on his couch.
Yeah, but you wouldn't. What happens if he was like someone not so close?
Oh, if he wasn't so close, no, you would say no. No, I mean, if it was
Yeah,
like
of
a
course,
stranger or
right?
something like that, sure. Yeah.
Now, what happens if I told you that was Elon Musk?
Oh,
Because
yeah, sure.
see, just because he's got so what Elon Musk did when he sold his early businesses, he invested all of them in different companies, and he put them all in different
Mhm.
companies, and he realized actually, crap, I've got no money left,
Yeah,
so no money to live. But that's what you call a real, true entrepreneur. He just put everything into that, and
everything.
he had to stay. Yeah, and he stayed at his friend's house because that guy's got potential,
Sure, sure,
right? And
sure.
that's what people will invest in. You don't have to always have the results, but potential.
Right. Well, same's true with stocks or any other kind of thing that, properties, things that you invest in something at a lower, that's at a lower value, knowing that it's going to increase in value. And so I think that that's similar with us as nice guys. So as a nice guy, like Robert was talking about, and you were talking about, most nice guys stay in this, that middle management type of
Mm.
earnings. And they're not great, they're not excellent, but they're also not super bad. They're not like living on the streets or anything like that, but they're just in this middle. And
Yeah,
I think that oftentimes even guys who are in relationships, long-term relationships, and the relationships are kind of going south is because when they were early on in the relationship, they had all this potential. The feminine, the woman saw him as this, potential, and she invested in him. And then he just kind of levels out in middle management, and she says, consciously or unconsciously, this isn't the life that I've wanted, you know. And right or wrong, you can argue the ethics of all of that. It's a reality that happens.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and so if we are not pursuing excellence within ourselves and increasing our own value as a man, as a human, as a citizen in the world, then why would we expect anyone else to invest in us if we're
Of
not even
course.
investing in ourselves?
Yeah, yeah. She wants
Well,
that
let's.
passion. She wants that drive, and it's like the nice guy's right in the middle. I feel right. like where I'm right now, I feel like I've been stuck in middle management in my business. I feel like I've
Hmm.
been stagnant for quite a while, and now I got to a place where I've had enough. So I'm
Yeah.
really hungry, really passionate. I feel alive again,
Yeah.
and that's and I can feel the people around me. I can feel the women around me. Like, wow, that's
Mhm.
super sexy. So rather
Yeah.
than
It's
me just
energy.
it's energy, right? It's attracted to masculine energy because masculine energy is go out there, do things,
Mhm.
achieve things, build things. So it's nice to feel that passion, and it's nice to receive the feminine energy from that.
Mhm.
So, like you said, let's check out the 5 things nice guys can do to get more money and sex. So, what's number
Yeah.
one, Chuck?
Number one is be more valuable, and we just kind of covered that. The idea is that the more valuable you are, the more value that you bring um, to a relationship, and the more value I think you have for yourself, um, the more attraction you're going to have. You know, like your millionaire uh, acquaintance said, you know, money's attracted to value. The feminine is money. You know, you think about money, you think about femininity and money. They're very similar in that uh, there's a flow to it, right?
Yeah,
There is a feast or famine kind of thing going on with it. Money is kind of chaotic. You know, some people have a lot of it, some people don't have a lot of it. Money can be kind of elusive, you know, and aloof. Where'd the money go? Yeah. And so that feminine energy of money, and I love what he said that, you know, money's attracted to value because the more valuable, I think the more valuable you make yourself, either in a relationship or in the world, in your job, in your business, whatever it is, if you're bringing value to the marketplace, whether that's the dating marketplace or your marriage or your business, whatever, that the feminine will be attracted to the value, whether it's money or it's the woman.
absolutely. So true. I mean, for example, if you're getting a real good value, if you had a house or something and it was for 500,000 or something, and all the houses, including that one, was worth 1 million, that's just an incredible value. You'd be like stupid to say no. So you would go that. So Chuck, how can we help our listeners understand? Like, for example, what value, right? This is a question for you now. What value
Okay.
do you bring in your marriage?
Ah, okay. Put me on the spot here. Let me think about this.
Ah,
Here's one thing that I bring. All right. And I think this is an important one. I bring loyalty and fidelity. Okay. Which creates safety for her. You know, my wife, she's been married before, her first marriage, husband cheated on her quite a bit. And so I think one of the most important things, that one of the values that I bring into a relationship, which is I think the thing that the feminine is attracted to, and that we as humans needs, is that sense of security and safety. And I would say that that's probably also true for money in and of itself. You know, if you're just squandering,
mm,
you know, basically being disloyal to what you have, why would you get more? I mean, if you were a guy who, you know, got in relationships and cheated all of the time, you know, pretty soon you're going to develop a reputation. And you know, but I would say fidelity is one of the things I bring. um Companionship, friendship, obviously my sexual prowess.
wow, I can feel
You're right.
it.
But also just I think the masculine energy, you know, bring the more masculine energy you bring, and the masculine energy is that stability,
Yes.
strong, planted, not going anywhere, consistent, tenacious. Um, I was used the metaphor of a lighthouse. You know, it's a very phallic symbol, but it's like deeply, deeply rooted into the earth, so that when the storms come and crash around it, it doesn't fall down, it doesn't collapse.
Yeah.
And when you're in a relationship with the feminine, whether it's money or a woman, there's going to be chaos, there's going to be storms, and you have to weather out those storms. It's not all going to be like fucking sunshine and roses. It's,
What? It's
I
not.
know. Yeah. No, there's going to be these storms, right? And I think that's also the thing with the guys kind of get this idea of both money and sex is like, oh, it should just be easy. Like it should just come. I should just think about this and attract it to myself, and then it's just going to flow abundantly, and then my life is going to
Yeah,
be wonderful and nice and easy. No, never.
yeah.
And
That's
you
such
got
that's such entitlement thinking, isn't it?
yeah
Oh, you know what?
yeah
It should happen. Should.
right yeah. What values do you think you bring to your relationships?
So, really thinking about this as well. What is money attracted to? So, for example, reliability,
Hmm.
okay, excitement, trustworthiness, uh, purposefulness. So, for
Hmm.
example, let's just take your cell phone, mobile phones, as we call it in the UK,
Okay.
right? You take that, right? If you have something that works on and off, is inconsistent, you're thinking, wow, this is rubbish, right? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's unreliable. It's uh, it keeps breaking down. You're
Hmm.
thinking, wow, I'm not getting a lot of value here.
Hmm.
And the same thing with the guy. If he's so, the things I bring in connection is boundaries, right? Consistency, keeping my word. You
Hmm.
know, if I say something, I'll do it. Okay, now, do I get this 100% of the times? No, I have bad days. I have human experiences
Sure.
too, right? But what I learned was if I do them most of the time and I honor as much as I can, then what I noticed was that the feminine is really attracted to that. Okay. As well as, you know, as well as having the reliable things, you want also the mysterious, the fun, the
Hmm.
playful, the excitement, the
Hmm.
novelty, the new stuff. You combine all that. That's what money is attracted to. Can you imagine if in that one there's a new iPhone coming out or new Samsung coming out, and it was
Hmm.
exactly the same? There's no novelty, there's no new features. That's what a new relationship needs to bring. It needs to bring the reliability,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
standards,
Hmm.
and the new stuff as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. 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 I just thought of something. I wanted. This is kind of interesting. I think is that oftentimes I think men who are highly, bring a lot of value. So they bring value into the world, and so they're making a lot of money. And I think it's natural for the masculine to chase the feminine, right? So if you're in a relationship with a woman and
mhm,
you're highly ambitious and you're chasing money, which is the feminine, on the one hand, she wants that safety and security that the money brings, right? But she gets jealous of your attention is split between you chasing the feminine money and not giving her the attention, which is the feminine. So I wonder if there's some kind of correlation there. I just kind of thought of that idea of that maybe because I've heard that so often where guys are like, I'm going to work and I'm working really hard, and she's, she doesn't want me to work so hard. She wants me to be home, but then when I'm home, if I'm not bringing in the kind of income that she wants, then she's on me for that. And so I don't know, just that was a free one, everybody. That's not on the list. So
you just opened up a whole can of worms here.
right.
Working out. Am I having an affair with money? What's going on? Is he cheating on
Yeah,
me with money?
yeah,
What's
yeah. Like maybe she feels like you're cheating because she feels that feminine energy that you're chasing the feminine. So she would be just as jealous, probably more jealous, if you were chasing, an actual
yeah?
woman. Um,
But I think she also deep down wants that because she wants a man on a purpose. You know,
yeah.
my the women I'm with, they say, oh, I love it. You're so passionate, you're driven, and you're doing something in the world. You're making
Mhm.
a change in the world. And when I speak about my passions, I'm really passionate about that, and they love that energy. Yeah, and there's some guys like, yeah, I'm gonna come and I do it. They just speak with
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
even if you do something, just bring that passion out. So
But I think that is what the masculine, or that value that the masculine brings, is that pursuit, right? So I'm pursuing, whether I'm pursuing the woman, I'm pursuing finances, or whatever I'm pursuing. And so there's an attraction to a man who is in his masculinity and is pursuing things, right?
mm,
But then I think there can also be kind of a jealousy that starts to take place because the feminine wants that security. So if your attention is split, And that's one of the things, and we can get into this in another podcast, but the idea of women are attracted to tension in a relationship, and that what she wants, guys are always asking me, like, how do I create positive emotional tension? One of the concepts that Robert came up with. Positive emotional tension is attention.
Yeah.
She wants
Yeah.
your attention. And so if I'm not
So does
giving her my attention, she starts to create negative tension.
so does money, right? So
So does
does
money.
your
So does
business.
money.
So does your
Yeah.
business, your work, and everything. It requires focus
Requires
and attention.
attention. Hmm.
If you're distracted and you're like, it's
Yeah.
gonna suffer. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at number
Exactly.
two.
Yes. Number two.
Okay, number two is leading, right? And here's the thing, right? Stop waiting for things to come to you. Right. Get proactive, make things happen. Get active. Masculine energy is taking initiative. It's being resourceful. Because a lot of guys saying, well, I don't know this, I don't know this, I don't know this. I love Tony Robbins' quote. It's not the lack of resources, it's the lack of resourcefulness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
taking initiative. So start leading,
Yeah.
right? If a man can't lead, a woman's not going to follow, as Dr. Glover says.
Right. Right.
Women want men to lead.
Yeah. And I think with the idea of leadership is you have to have a vision that you're going after. So that's part of being a leader is you have to come up with the vision. This is where I want to go. So both in money and in your relationship, if you don't have a vision, if you don't have something you're pursuing, which again is the masculine, then the feminine is going to get bored with you. So if you're not pursuing success in your business or your career or something like that, then you're not leading in that, and the money's not going to come. Right.
Yeah.
Similarly with the feminine, if you don't have a vision for where you're going in the relationship and say, hey, this is where we're going, then the feminine energy isn't going to be able to follow, because the feminine energy needs something to follow. And so the masculine energy of pursuit, which is leadership, hey, I'm leading, I'm in front, here we go.
Yeah.
That's I think a really key component in understanding leadership.
I love that. I really like that point. And it just made me realize that how much the feminine follows. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, the masculine's got to have a path. And
Yeah.
if you ask a lot of nice guys, most men, what do you want? The typical answer they get is, I don't know.
I don't know.
That's,
They have no
yeah,
vision.
they have no vision.
Yeah.
I've really struggled with that.
Yeah.
This is a concept I really, really struggle with. I don't always know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
What
think
I
we should
want.
definitely do yeah, I don't always know. I remember I did an exercise with Dr. Glover when I was getting trained by him, and one of the exercises which was really helpful, and I did it with my guys as well. So for 30 days, ask yourself every single morning, what do I want?
Mm.
And write it down. What do I want? What do I
Yeah.
want for 30 days every day? And that really helped. And I know some of the guys were saying, oh, that was been really helpful. And they've
Yeah.
not really asked that question consistently. So
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
a great opportunity.
Yeah. So what do I want first, which creates the vision of where I want to go, and then you pursue that.
Yeah. And then you make it
Yeah.
happen.
And then you make it happen. Yeah. Let's
Uh,
talk about
on
number
pursuit.
3.
Yeah. So number 3 is
Take a risk. Put yourself out and be ready be ready to fail, get shut down, but always get back up. It's like
yeah.
Bruce Wayne's dad, when Bruce Wayne fell down the well. Why do we fall down? So we can learn to get back up. Yeah. It's kind of a thing like that, right? Is like, but you have to take risks. If you're not taking risks, and again, the masculine is a risk taker. So all of these things that we're doing to create attraction are masculine things. So taking a risk is the masculine.
Yeah.
Be ready to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
You have any? What do you have on this?
No,
One.
you said it well, because a lot of guys are too nice guys are way too soft on this. For example, a lot of the times I get stuck, and in the past I'm
Mhm.
getting much better at this. So taking risks, I became way too, I started to overthink a lot.
Mhm.
And I was like, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? And I started to go the whole process. And, I remember even my sister, like, stop thinking and just do it. I
Mhm.
was like, oh,
Mhm.
you're right. I remember I had to go to an event, and it was in Singapore. And I was like umming and ahhing and umming and ahhing. Like, I was being overcautious, over calculating. She's like, just do it. I was like, yeah, you're right. Just do it.
Mhm.
There, I just grabbed the laptop and just put my card details and booked a ticket. And it became taking that risk and getting out of the house. It gave a lot of gifts. I got so
Mhm.
many gifts out of that. And I think a lot of the times we get stuck in indecisiveness, spinning wheel, ruminating brain, and then
Mhm.
we're always trying to make calculated risks. It has to work.
Mhm.
I mean, I make stupid risks, but really,
Yeah.
just sometimes. And this is what business is: taking risks.
Mhm. Yeah. Absolutely. And when you think of it in terms of, again, like the masculine, feminine energy, taking a risk is about, first of all, the leadership is, I've got a vision and I'm going to pursue that vision. And in the pursuit of that vision, there's going to be risk involved. Right. That's what actually makes it exciting. Would you read a book or go to a movie where it was just this guy and he was like sitting on the couch and I'm just, you know, doing my thing, and there was no arc, there was no risk, there was no adventure, there was nothing to it. We need to have that sense of risk in order to bring that excitement of like, okay, I conquered, I did this thing, look what I
Yes.
just did. And the masculine is validated internally by what he accomplishes, the masculine energy.
Yeah.
Feminine energy is externally validated, right? Tell me I'm beautiful. And so
Beautiful.
when we're in the, thank you. Sorry, you.
Oh, I thought you just
when,
flirting.
when we're in our masculine and pursuing something and taking the risk, right? Then that creates the attraction. Oh, I got the kill. Now let's sit and enjoy the kill. But we don't just rest on our laurels. We have to go back out. We have to make another kill. So
Absolutely. Like approaching a girl,
yeah.
that's so scary. And it's
Hmm.
been so scary for most men. For me, everyone, every guy I've
Yeah.
worked with, that's probably, I think 99% of the guys I've worked with, I think one there's like 1% of guys that have like,
Hmm.
yeah, I'll just go and talk to anyone.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
gotta take that risk. You gotta put yourself out there. Yes, you are gonna get shot down. You are
Yeah.
gonna get rejections. I was talking to a client the other day, and it's like, oh, I hardly get rejections. I hardly get that. I'm like, how many girls do you talk to? And what I found was he wasn't really putting himself out there.
Mm.
And I
Hmm.
said,
Hmm.
if you're not getting rejections, if you're not getting shot down, if you're not getting all this, you're not pushing yourself hard enough. You're in your comfort
And
zone.
that's also true in business and your career and money, right? You have to
Oh,
put
yeah.
yourself out there. And when you think about like a guy who has a lot of fear, right? And he approaches a woman, she senses the fear and the inconfidence, and she's not attracted to that. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy in that he gets shot down. And I think the same thing's true in business or in the pursuit of money of, I'm really nervous with this. What if I lose this? What if I don't, you know, what if I don't get what I want? What if I get rejected?
Hmm.
There's a funny story. We'll tell it real quickly here. When I was in junior high, I was at a summer camp, and the last day of the summer camp was a dinner, and this was a co-ed summer camp, and so the boys could ask a girl to sit with them at dinner time. And it's kind of like a semi-formal kind of thing, whatnot. And there was this girl that had been looking at me all week long, and I was terrified of her. But she'd been looking at me all week long, right? And so we get to the dinner place, and all of these kids are kind of pairing up, and I'm sitting there, and she's sitting there, and like literally everybody had gone in to eat, and it was her and me, and I was terrified to just say, "Hey, you want to go eat with me?" And obviously, she was waiting for me to do that. So finally, I did. That sense of insecurity I had.
Hmm.
Fast forward a couple years, and I'm out of high school, maybe in college or something like that. And I'm standing at an ATM, and this is back when you could take $5 out of your account. And I'm standing at an ATM, and I know I've got like $5.50 in my account or something like that. And I'm staring at it going, do I take it, or do I, do I clean up my account, or do I just go without whatever, whatever is you could buy for $5 back then. And I realized years later it was the exact same anxiety of standing in front of the girl wanting to ask her, and standing in front of the ATM and wondering if I had enough money to do what I wanted to do. And that was for me where I was like clicked. It's like, oh, money and the, the feminine are similar energies. So we have to take risks with that.
Oh, I like
Let's,
that. I actually, it just I had a bit of like epiphany with that, because sometimes I can be a little, when a bill comes up or something, I can feel my stresses and fears
yes.
just like being triggered with that. When you have kids, there's like all these unexpected
Mhm.
costs and bills, and when you go through a divorce, and I
Yeah.
remember, it's the same anxiety.
Mhm.
And what I've been doing is I'm like, well, you know what? Nice guys can become really tight sometimes. I can
Yeah.
fall into that. Sometimes I can be
Sure.
overcautious with money,
Sure.
and again, being overcautious, being too tight, that's bad for sexual attraction as well
Mhm.
as business, because sometimes you gotta, just let it flow, just be okay with it, and just
Yeah.
move on rather than get emotionally connected to it.
Yep. Yep.
So that
Yep.
was a good epiphany. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about number 4. Never take it personally. You want to tell me about
Yeah, I'll
that?
cover this. Yeah.
You cover this one.
So when in sexual attraction, right, you are gonna get a lot of rejections, right? If you're
Mm.
putting yourself out there, you're gonna get a lot of rejections. You're gonna get a lot of no's. And what happens is when we get a rejection, whether it's a client says, "Hey, I don't want to work with you," or when you go for a work or a business and you didn't get the promotion, oh, I'm wrong, I'm stupid, I'm
Mm.
this. How dare they? And you just go into this victim part and victim energy. And that is so uncool. For example, I've heard so many women tell me, when I reject guys, they just get really butthurt, they get really angry, and they get aggressive. And she says, what, I'd rather just give my number and then
Mm.
ignore him. Then she said, what is it with these guys? Why can't they take a no? Why do they have to get,
Mm.
oh, you must be a lesbian, or you must be this, or oh, you're ugly anyway?
Yeah.
And that's such pathetic behavior, right? That's the part where you have to say, you know what, okay, no worries. And the principle is charismatically, smoothly, just move on.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is also very much a nice guy behavior, is taking things personally. Um, I would even go as far as to say that that's kind of somewhat of a when we take things personally, we are not leading,
Yeah.
we're not taking the risks, we're afraid. And when we're in that state of fear and anxiety, that's not going to create attraction. So the same thing is true with money, right? That if I'm afraid to take a risk, oh, I
Yeah.
might lose it all, or there's this program, I know it's a high value program, I should do that, but it's so expensive, I don't, I'm not going to invest in myself. um, that we take things so personally, and then that in and of itself is the opposite of the attraction, right? So I'm not attracting value because I'm not being of value. I'm playing it super super safe. And when I look back on my dating life and that kind of thing, I was very insecure as well. um, but it wasn't, my insecurity wasn't from this particular woman in front of me. It was from being rejected by the feminine in its entirety. So it's better to not pursue the feminine, the woman.
Yeah.
It's better not to pursue the feminine energy of money, right? Because I can lose it and get hurt. So
Yeah.
we take things too
Absolutely.
personally, then we're not bringing value.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. Okay, so let's have a look at the number fifth one. Okay, so the fifth
Fifth
one
one,
is learn and adjust. Right. So when it
learn and
comes to
adjust.
money and sex, learn and adjust.
Okay.
So with
So
that one,
let's take a look at that. So calibrate with the market and celebrate with the woman. I like that. If something doesn't work, use empathy and work on picking up the cues, getting better and asking or surveying the clients. So learn and adjust, find out what works. And when it doesn't work, don't take it personally, just simply adjust.
that's it.
Use it as a learning experience. You know, I think something that I've definitely been working on in my own business of it used to be I'd make an offer or something like that and somebody would reject that and I would feel like, oh man, they're rejecting me. um and now I'm at the point where it's like I make an offer, and if they reject it I'm like, okay, and maybe I'll try to figure out why they rejected it or something like that, but I just move on. And I think that that's very much a masculine energy, is to just be able to learn from what works and what doesn't work and then adjust accordingly.
Absolutely, absolutely. Test and measure. Go out there, try it out, take the risk. I remember when I was getting better at approaching women, and I was hopeless, completely useless at this. And when I put myself out there after my divorce, I was like, I'm going to really get this handled. I'm going to fix this part of my
Hmm.
life. So I
Mm-hmm.
went out and I did, over a few years, I did thousands of approaches. I talked to
Mm-hmm.
so many people and I got burnt. I got rejected. I got told so many things. But what I learned was I just learned something, things from my mentors and coaches, and then went out, practiced, and adjusted to that. And a lot
Mm-hmm.
of guys I speak to have such little inexperience. They have a
Yeah.
lot of they don't have enough learning. So when you don't have
Yeah.
enough learning, like inexperienced learning, how can you
Mm-hmm.
adjust? So
Yeah.
they're trying to make all the adjustments without actually practically doing it, and that's
Yep.
where you fail.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. You have to, again, that the masculine does. So I'm going to
Yep.
lead. I have a vision. I'm going to take risks and pursue that. I'm not going to take it personally. And whatever I learn from this thing, I'm simply going to adjust for the next approach, for the next investment.
Absolutely. I mean, even like this podcast we're doing,
Yeah. Yeah.
we're pretty new to this. I'm pretty new to this. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it's not perfect, but we've only got like
No.
12 listeners or something. I think we got more than that.
Right.
But
Yeah.
but it's just like,
Hi,
let's just
everyone.
go out and yeah. Are you? But that's
All
it.
12 of
Just
you.
going out there and making a difference, right? We have to make a difference and we have to keep moving
We
forward.
do.
So one of the last messages I want to give is, when it comes to what I've learned, and I've got mentors to teach me in this, because it's, areas that I'm weak in, I always get help and support in. And the most important thing is opinion doesn't matter.
Mm.
Everybody has opinion, right? What really does matter is results and effectiveness. There's an effectiveness and results always have a path. And a lot of the times it's about following the path. The following the six Tony Robbins said this as well. Success leaves clues. It's finding those clues. Usually successful people have those and just following that. So it
Mhm.
doesn't matter what your opinion is, just build and strengthen that baseline. For example, it's like a fat person telling a personal trainer how to do their job. Well,
Mhm.
no, you're wrong there. Actually,
Right.
it's this way. Yeah, get out your way, follow the proven path, and then if you want to
Right.
add to that, innovate to that, you can.
Mhm.
But the baseline, get that right first. Any
Yeah,
last words from you,
absolutely.
Chuck?
Well, speaking of that and opinions, something
What's
my
your opinion on this?
well, yeah, my opinion of this. My In high school, my friend, his dad used to say, "Opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got them, and most of them stink." So, uh,
That's true.
there you go, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Um,
Chuck, what's the
so
next?
before we
What's the
go,
next episode?
the next time before we go, we're going to talk about the 5 ways to fix the dead bedroom. The dreaded dead bedroom. You know, the bedroom that has nothing going on but sleep. That,
Rest in peace.
yeah, rest in peace. And so join us for our next podcast. We're going to talk about the dead bedroom. Thanks so much for joining us today. If you like this podcast, like, subscribe, do whatever you have to do. It really helps us get the message out, helps the algorithm, get us, helps us to be found in our various platforms. And we do, to all 12 of you out there, I just want to say we do appreciate you and your listening. We'll see you next time on The Nice Guy Show.
You've been listening to The Nice Guy Show, the podcast that helps nice guys move past their insecurities and fears into the fullness of their masculine strength and confidence. Be sure to like and subscribe to our podcast and check out the website niceguyshow.com for more information on how to connect with Chuck and Faisal. Until next time, keep living your best life.